Rockstar's own media page says Grand Theft Auto 6 plays best on PlayStation 5. It is the sentence Rockstar and Sony are running right now, and PlayStation attaches 5 specific things to it: haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, effects through the controller speaker, Tempest 3D audio, near instant loading. 5 named benefits, on the record, before anybody has played a minute of it. Then the same product page adds a second badge, PS5 Pro Enhanced, and stops there. No official Grand Theft Auto 6 frame rate, resolution, ray tracing, or Xbox comparison exists. So the advantage is real, and every piece of it that Sony will actually name lives in your hands and your ears. The part you would pay extra for is the part nobody has explained. Haptic feedback and adaptive triggers do the heaviest lifting on that list, and plenty of people still hear both as rumble. They are not rumble. Rumble is a weight spinning in a plastic shell, one sensation at one intensity, on or off. Haptics are motors precise enough to give a sensation a texture and a location, so something can arrive on the left side of the pad and not the right. Adaptive triggers are the stranger one. The trigger under your right index finger can push back with variable force, and it can stop dead partway through the pull. That turns an input that was always a switch into an input with a middle, so the difference between half-pressed and fully pressed becomes something your finger feels rather than something the screen reports afterwards. Grand Theft Auto is a series where you spend most of your hours holding a trigger down. Driving is a trigger, shooting is a trigger, braking is a trigger. On this hardware, each one can carry its own resistance and its own texture, which is the difference between a car you steer and a car you feel go light underneath you halfway through a corner. Then there is the third one, the speaker in the controller itself. It is the least discussed feature Sony names and the easiest to underrate because it does something a television cannot. It puts a sound source in your hands instead of across the room, and this is a series that has run on phone calls and radio stations since Grand Theft Auto 3, sounds that sit closer to a player than the rest of the mix ever does. So the 3 features under your fingers are all feel features, and feel is the part of a game a specification sheet was never going to describe. The first thing Grand Theft Auto 6 does on a PlayStation 5 is arrive in your hands, and that much is already in writing, with Sony's name on it. The other 2 names on that list leave your hands entirely. Tempest 3D audio is the 4th name, and it is the one most people skip because it sounds like a word for surround sound. It is not surround sound. Surround sound has a fixed number of places a sound can come from, and those places are wherever the speakers happen to be. Tempest puts a sound at a coordinate: above you, behind your left shoulder, below the floor you are standing on, through a pair of ordinary headphones. In a city, that is not decoration, that is information. A siren has a direction, traffic has a distance, somebody moving on the floor above you has a floor. Every one of those is something an open world already tracks, and has always had to hand you through a minimap or a red dot. Audio placement is the version that interrupts nothing. The 5th name is the plainest and probably the most valuable: near instant loading. Nobody chooses a console over load times until they have died 4 times in a row on the same mission, and at that point load times are the whole game. Loading is friction, the gap between wanting to play and playing, and every second of it is a second where the city stops existing, and a menu exists instead. A city you can cross without meeting a black screen is a different place from a city you wait to visit. All 5 of those have one thing in common: each describes something the machine can do. A feature list is a promise about hardware, and hardware is what Sony sells. Sony wrote that list, Sony's list is finished, and Rockstar has not added a sentence to it. Sony has published the machine's vocabulary, and nobody has written a Vice City sentence with it yet. And there is a second badge sitting above that list, attached to a machine most people watching this do not own. The second badge is PS5 Pro Enhanced. It sits on the same product page, and it is the one part of the whole picture with real money attached and no explanation underneath. Here is the exact shape of what Sony has told you. The badge is real. It means Rockstar did specific work for the Pro, and that is the end of the sentence. Sony's own guidance says PS5 Pro enhancements vary from game to game, which is Sony telling you, in writing, that the badge describes nothing about any single game. There is no published Grand Theft Auto 6 resolution, no frame rate, no ray tracing detail, and no mode list attached to that badge anywhere. So the badge confirms that something was done and declines to say what it was, and the Pro is the most expensive hardware decision a buyer faces right now. That badge is being asked to carry a lot. The Pro is the premium box, the one a player buys specifically to get more than the standard machine gives, and the single piece of Grand Theft Auto 6 evidence pointing at it is one word: enhanced, with no number behind it. Every other named feature lives in your hands and your ears, and every one of them was spelled out. This lives in a box you pay a premium for, and it is the one thing on the page nobody has defined. The most concrete feature list on that page is free. The most expensive badge on that page is a blank. So the fair question is the short one. Enhanced how? Sony put the badge there. Sony has not answered its own badge. The obvious next move is to ask which console wins, and this is where a lot of videos quietly invent an answer. Rockstar lists Grand Theft Auto 6 for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. Both families get the game, confirmed and dated. The comparison is the part that only lives in your head. The Xbox page carries the console and the date, and the PlayStation page carries the long feature breakdown. That is a difference in what two web pages say today. Reading it as a difference in what two machines can do is how a storefront gets promoted into a benchmark it never claimed to be. An empty section of a web page is a marketing decision, not a spec sheet. The Xbox controller ships with its own feedback hardware, and Xbox machines ship with their own fast storage, whether or not a product page lists it yet. Whoever tells you the Xbox version is worse is reading a page that stays blank and calling the blank a result. The Pro badge has a hardware reason to stay in its lane too. Digital Foundry's reported analysis argues that a locked 60 frames per second may be genuinely difficult on the Pro because the Pro's gains sit on the graphics side while its processor uplift is limited, and it treats 40 frames as a possibility rather than a promise. That's analyst caution, not a confirmed mode, and it is a reason to stop the word enhanced from turning itself into 60. So the referee that ranks these two consoles is the shipped game, and it has not walked onto the field. Anybody handing you a winner today is grading a web page and calling it a machine. There is a reason to hold Rockstar to a real standard here, and it is Rockstar's own. 2022 is the year Rockstar brought Grand Theft Auto 5 to the current generation, and that announcement did the opposite of leaning on a mood word like enhanced. It named the resolution, it named the frame rate targets, it named ray tracing, the loading improvements, the audio work, and the controller features, one after another in public, before it shipped. That is the yardstick, and it comes from the same company. When Rockstar has the numbers and wants you to have them, the page names the resolution and the frame rate and the modes, not a single badge doing all the talking, which tells you something clean about right now. The Grand Theft Auto 6 page is quiet on every one of those numbers, and the company sitting on it has published all of them before, for a smaller release years earlier. The silence is not Rockstar being unable to describe a console version. It is Rockstar choosing, for now, not to. The honest read of that stays calm about why. 2022 was a finished port of an old game, so the specifications were ready. Grand Theft Auto 6 is a new game still in development, so the numbers may simply be unlocked for now. Both can be true at once, and enhanced stays a mood word in either case. Rockstar has already shown you what a full technical page from Rockstar reads like. The Grand Theft Auto 6 page is not that page yet, and the gap between the two is the exact size of what you are still waiting to learn. So here is the rule that actually protects your money. Buy the PlayStation 5 version for the 5 things Sony has put its name on: the haptics, the triggers, the controller speaker, the spatial audio, and the loading. Those are named, they change how a game feels in your hands, and they are yours the day you press start. Everything else is a hold. The only thing worth paying for is a printed number, and 60 frames, resolution, ray tracing, and that Pro badge are all still blanks on the page. If you already own a Pro, you are covered the moment there is something to enhance. If you are eyeing one specifically for Grand Theft Auto 6, that is the purchase to hold, because right now you would be paying for a promise the receipt has not caught up to. And there is a clock on it. Grand Theft Auto 6, an extended look, is scheduled for August 27th at 3 p.m. Eastern, and it could change every number here the moment it airs. Or it could show story and gameplay and say nothing about consoles at all. Either way, the honest position holds until it moves. Value the version you can already feel. Wait for the receipt on the version you cannot. Rockstar has shown you exactly what it looks like when they are ready to be specific, so let them be specific before you spend.